What's up and welcome back to another video, guys. Today I'm going to be going over every single LEGO Star Wars set that is going to be retiring at the end of 2025. We have a lot of sets on this list, so without further ado, let's get right on into this video. Our first set retiring is set 40755, the Imperial Dropship vs Rebel Scout Speeder, with a retail of $39.99 in the US, releasing on October 1st of 2024. Now this was a LEGO Store exclusive, so it was really hard to find this one on sale for a good deal, and personally I'm not a big fan of this set, and I know a lot of people weren't a big fan of this battle pack. However, I do think there are some redeeming qualities, so if you really want like that exclusive droid, and especially if you just want to get your hands on this build before it retires, I do think it's worth picking up before it does. Next up, after almost 5 years, we have set 75304, the Darth Vader helmet, with a retail of $79.99 in the US. This set released all the way back in April 26th of 2021. Now, I think this is one that is definitely long overdue for its retirement. It's a fun set, but I feel like if you wanted the Darth Vader helmet, you definitely bought it over some of these past years that it's been on shelves. Next is set 75331, the UCS Razor Crest, with a retail of $599.99 in the US, releasing on October 3rd of 2022. Now, this is one that some people were speculating was going to get an extension given the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, and I definitely see that as something that is possible, but as of right now, it does look like it's going to be retiring at the end of this year, and I do think this is a great UCS set. We've seen it on some pretty crazy deals. I think it was like sub 400 a little while ago, so I think you definitely have some good opportunities to pick this up on sale, and if you're a big fan of the Mandalorian, I do recommend getting this UCS Razor Crest if it is something that's in your budget before it retires, because it definitely will skyrocket in price. Up we have set 75354, the Coruscant Guard gunship, with a retail of $139.99, releasing on September 1st of 2023. Now, this has been a pretty controversial set based on just the build as well as the minifigures, especially that Commander Fox. A lot of people weren't happy with it, but I do think it being a gunship, it is still a pretty good set, and you know, most people disappointed that this wasn't just a normal Republic gunship, but I do think with this retiring, it opens up the door to see a gunship pretty soon in the future. But overall, I think this is a pretty good set, and I've seen clearance for like $85 on this set, so if you see it at that price, I do recommend picking it up. I know it isn't, you know, everyone's cup of tea when it comes to a gunship, but I still think that the build is pretty fun, and it has some pretty solid minifigures, especially with that Palpatine. Next up is set 75355, the UCS X-Wing Starfighter, with a retail of $240 in the US. This released back on May 1st of 2023, and I don't have much to say. We see so many of these UCS X-Wings, and I feel like we probably will be seeing one pretty soon in the future, so I wouldn't hold your breath on this set. I think if you miss out on this one, there'll definitely be more opportunities in the future when we inevitably get the next X-Wing. Next is set 75357, the Ghost and Phantom 2, with a retail of $160, releasing back on September 1st of 2023. Now, this one's a little bit sad to see go. In my opinion, it was definitely my favorite set of 2023, and I think that the overall build for the Ghost and Phantom 2 was just very well done, especially on this set, and sad to see it go, but I do think it's a great set, and if you can find it for a good price, I do recommend picking it up. Next, we have another Ahsoka set in set 75362, the Ahsoka Tano's T6 Shuttle, with a retail of $80 in the US. That's also released on September 1st of 2023. This being a pretty overpriced set, especially at its retail price, and you can find it on sale for around $60, and I don't think it's a bad set. I do think the build leaves a bit to be desired, but I do think that there are some great minifigures in this set, so if you want it, I do recommend picking it up before it retires. Next is set 75373, the Ambush on Mandalore Battle Pack, for a $20 retail price in the US, releasing on June 1st of 2024. This is honestly one that I thought would be going a little bit longer. I didn't think it would be retiring so soon, but it does kind of make sense. I do think that this is a one that's definitely worth picking up. You can find it on some pretty good deals. Usually it's always like $16 on your main kind of retailers, and you can find it even cheaper in some stores, but I do think this would be one worth picking up. Maybe not for the Mandalorians, but I do think the Imperial Super Commandos are so cool in this set. I think they look great, and I would love to see them come out in another set, but if they stay exclusive to this one, they'll definitely be worth quite a bit later on. Next is set 75374, the Onyx Cinder, releasing on August 1st of 2024 with a retail of $140. Once again, one that I do think is going away a little bit sooner than expected, but it does make sense given it's based off of the Skeleton Crew show. This is one that I've seen on clearance for about $85, and I think it is definitely worth it at that price with all of its exclusive minifigures. I understand it's not everyone's cup of tea, as the Skeleton Crew wasn't a show that everyone were huge fans of, but I do think that it was pretty solid, and I think this this set is a pretty good one, and if you can find it on some good clearance, like $85, I do think that it would be worth it. Set 75376, the mini scale Tantive 4 with a retail of $80, releasing on March 1st of 2024. I don't have much to say about this one. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the mini scale sets, but I do think if you are a fan, if you want to pick it up, I don't necessarily think that this is one that you should be stressing about picking up just yet. I think that you will still have some time on this one, even after retirement. I don't see it going too much higher after retail. So we have another mini scale set in set 75377, the Invisible Hand, with a retail of $50, releasing on March 1st of 2024. I do favor this one a lot more than the Tantive 4 set. I think that this one is a lot more fun, and it's something that we don't see very often. But once again, not a huge fan of the mini scale sets. I know that they do have their audience, so if you want to pick it up, I do recommend doing so. Next is set 75378, the Bark Speeder Escape, with a retail of $30 and releasing on May 1st of 2024. Now, this is one that I've seen on clearance for like $17, $18, so I think if you find it for that price, I would recommend picking it up. You get your 501st Clone Troopers as well as your exclusive Jedi, so I do think this would definitely be one that is worth picking up if you have your eye on it. Next, LEGO is weeding out all of the surviving dioramas on shelves. We have set 75380, the Maz Espadres diorama, with a retail of $80 in the US, but you can find this one pretty cheap on clearance if you just, look around. And sad to see the dioramas go, but I guess it was inevitable for LEGO Star Wars. Personally, I'm not a big fan of the Maz Espadres diorama, but if you wanted to get it and grab it for your collection, you can definitely find it on some pretty good clearance right now. Next up is set 75381, the Droideka, with a retail of $65, releasing once again on May 1st of 2024. This is one that a lot of people, think is one of the greatest buildable droids. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the buildable droid sets, but I do think if you want this one, it's definitely worth picking up for your collection. I think it does look very cool, especially as a display piece, and I don't think you can go wrong with this set. Next up is the set 75383, the Darth Maul Sith Infiltrator, with a retail of $70 in the US, and once again, another May 1st release for 2024. This one is a pretty solid set in my opinion, especially the fact that you get your Saw Gerrera in this set as well. Yes, it is a little bit overpriced, and I know there's the whole thing with the two variants of Qui-Gon. I feel like most people that already wanted this set though have already bought it, and this is one that you don't really see on crazy clearance just yet, but I feel like as the months go on and the stores are trying to get rid of it, we'll definitely see it go deeper and deeper in the clearance. Now, maybe the saddest one to see go on this list, definitely the best set that LEGO has put out in recent years, is set 75384, the Crimson Firehawk. I'm just kidding. I don't think anyone is sad to see this one go. With a retail of $50, releasing on January 1st of 2024. A lot of people do not like this set, and for good reason. The high price, which you're not getting, but it does make sense. It's not really geared toward any, older fan of LEGO. Definitely geared toward the younger children and, their parents that buy the sets for them. I don't think anyone's going to miss this one. I don't think anyone wants to add it to their collection. I've seen it for like 60-70% off, and people are still not buying them. Next is set 75385, the Ahsoka Tano's Duel on Peridia, with a retail of $55, releasing on August 1st of 2024. One that is seeing kind of a shorter runtime, but this is, the big set. The big draw to this set is the new Grand Admiral Thrawn minifigure, and I've seen this one on clearance for like $33, like 40% off. I recently just picked up two at that price, and I do think if you can find it for $33, it's definitely worth it. The build is kind of just like a boring kind of baseplate type thing, but there's some great minifigures in this set, so I do recommend picking it up before it's gone. Next is set 75386, the Paz Vizsla and Moff Gideon battle, with a retail of $40, releasing on June 1st of 2024. Once again, this is one that I've seen on pretty deep discounts, like 30 to 40%. I think you get some really good minifigures in there, like your Moff Gideon as well as your Paz Vizsla. So I think if you can, once again, find this for a good price, it's definitely worth picking up. Now, another great set we have is set 75387, the Boarding the Tantive 4 set, with a $55 retail, releasing on March 1st of 2024. You also get the exclusive Anniversary 5s minifigure, and you're getting your Stormtroopers, your Rebels, as well as that Antilles and that Darth Vader. I think this is overall just a very fun set, and I do think it's definitely worth picking up if you haven't already. I haven't really seen any crazy deals on this one just yet, but I feel like once again, as the months go on, we'll be seeing a lot of these retiring sets go on deep clearance. Next up, we have set 75390, the Luke Skywalker's X-Wing mech, with a retail of $16 in the US, and this one released on June 1st of 2024. I don't think anyone's really, gunning to pick this set up before it retires, especially for a $16 price tag. Not a big fan of the LEGO Star Wars mechs, especially when you compare them to some of the Marvel mechs and what you're actually paying versus what you're getting. Definitely not the best deal, and I don't think anyone's going to be sad to see this one go. Next, we have set 75392, the Creative Play Droid Builder, Rebuilder with a retail of $100 in the US, released on August 1st of 2024. Now, this set is certainly not everyone's cup of tea. The only minifigure that you get is actually the anniversary figure with the Leia, which is a kind of an expensive minifigure, but I don't think it's one that many people are gunning to get their hands on. And overall, I think it is just a pretty overpriced set, but if it's one that you really want to pick up, I would recommend doing so before it retires. Next, we have set 75393, the TIE Fighter and X-Wing matchup, with a retail of $110 in the US, released on August 1st of 2024. Now, overall, I think this is a pretty solid set. You're getting both your TIE Fighter as well as your X-Wing, and you have, that little bit of fun playability where you can match them up, versus in that, Rebuild the Galaxy style of set. But I do think that we will definitely be seeing more TIE Fighters as well as more X-Wings in the future, so I definitely wouldn't jump on this one at full retail price. I would definitely wait to see it when it goes on sale. And lastly, we have probably the most overpriced set on this list with set 75396, the Desert Skiff and Scarlac Pit, with a retail of $80 in the US, released on August 1st of 2024. This is one a lot of people were unhappy with the price. A lot of people were unhappy that this wasn't just included with the UCS sail barge, and whether you agree with that or not, I do think this is an overpriced set, but you can find it on some pretty good clearance. I do think overall the build's not bad. You get some fun minifigures. You get the 9-nub anniversary minifigure as well. Overall, I think it's a pretty solid set, but it's definitely not worth the price at the full retail value. I would wait to see it go on some pretty deep discounts. And that's going to do it for all of our sets retiring in 2025 for LEGO Star Wars. If you enjoyed, leave a like. Let me know down below in the comments what sets you want to pick up before they retire. And I will let you guys know if anything on this list changes. I know that LEGO sometimes messes around with their lists before the end of the year, extending or, taking some sets down early. So I will be first to let you guys know when that happens. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe. Drew signing out.